Run it back, nation. What is good? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, my viewer count's chopped off, man. What's going on, people? Sicko Nation. We're back. We are very much back. We are back in every way possible. And it's funny because I wasn't back all off season. I wasn't back. I wanted to sell this YouTube channel. And it's wild how Joel Embiid looking healthy can change all of that. There's a lot of things I want to talk about based on what I saw in this preseason game. For those that were in the streams last night, yeah, I had an internet issue. I had been having an internet issue for a couple of streams, so I finally hardwired it and fixed the issue. The true story is, I'm a dumbass, okay? Let me tell you what happened, and then we'll get into this, all right? So, I had a Wi-Fi extender up here, using that when I had Comcast internet. I then switched to Verizon Fios, which is like 10 times faster than Comcast. So, me being dumb, I thought it's so much faster, I don't need a Wi-Fi extender. That doesn't make any sense, because the Wi-Fi signal still can't go through the floor, idiot. And so the speeds would go from like 200 megabytes to 0 and my stream would cut off. So I ran a 200-foot Ethernet cable from my garage to my YouTube room in my attic, and we're done. It's over, okay? We fixed it. Thank you guys for being here, man. Listen on podcast platforms if you don't already. The audio version of this show is climbing drastically. It's unbelievable. We did 10,000 downloads in a month in the middle of the summer on podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all other platforms. That's a ridiculous number. I didn't even know that many people were listening to this show in audio form on podcasts. So now that I know that, I want to continue to promote that. Thank you guys for listening on podcast platforms. Hit the like button over on YouTube if you're watching live now or you're listening back on YouTube. Thank you for that. And let me tell you who makes this show possible before we get into it, and that is Bright Medical Technology of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Bright Medical Technology is Pennsylvania's #1 medical supply company. What you do not know about Bright Medical is that they can also help you out in much more ways than just medical supplies. You see, the 76ers last season had some dysfunction that prevented them from performing up to standard. All right, we saw Joel Embiid healthy last night in a little bit of a preseason game. The dysfunction may be subsided, and they may perform up to standard. We don't know yet. But we do know that if you are having some dysfunction that is preventing you from performing up to standard, if you know what I'm saying, Bright Medical can help you out. Bright Medical has the most affordable generic ED meds in the area and can ship to your door at no cost in 1 to 2 business days. No awkward doctor visits, no awkward conversations. You don't have to talk to anybody about anything. You call the number, you tell them what you want, they send it to you. All you need to do is call 215-725-MEDS. That is 215-725-MEDS, 215-725-6337. When you call, mention Run It Back Philly, you'll get 10% off your first month's supply. The Sixers might get back to performing this season, or they might not. We don't know. But you can get back to performing up to standard by taking advantage of what Bright Medical wants to help you out with. Thank you to Bright Medical for sponsoring the channel. Let's get down to business! 160 people in here. Thank you for being here. Shout out to everybody being active in the chat. Here's what I want to say. I am absolutely shocked that Joel Embiid looked as healthy as he looked last night. Because we had no idea, you know? And I think I said this in a video that I posted the other day, but seeing him play last night, I was already shocked that he was cleared to play in a preseason game. Watching him play last night, it's absolutely unbelievable that he looked that healthy because we just had no clue, you know? All we got was what he's, you know, a 400-page article in ESPN of talking about how the Sixers did Sam Hinkie wrong, which had nothing to do with anything we wanted to hear, you know? And then we heard Joel Embiid talking at media day, and basically he was just like, I'm not going to rush back. I'm going to take my time this time, and it just sounded like, I don't know if he's healthy. I don't know if he is even trying to get back on the floor right now. It just didn't sound very optimistic. And so based on what happened the season prior, we had no reason to believe it was going to be any different. So we just thought like, oh, this sucks. This sounds like Joel Embiid's going to not play until January, right? And then he's going to play 3 games and sit out, and we're going to miss the playoffs again, and we're going to be tanking and everything. And then he comes out in a preseason game with no brace on his knee, putting all of his weight on the knee. And it's just absolutely shocking. We haven't seen Joel Embiid put all of his weight on his left knee without falling over in 2 years. It's been over 200 days since he scored a point in the NBA. His last game was February 22nd. But he wasn't healthy last season. We haven't seen him look this healthy since, the season before he had the knee surgery and came back against the New York Knicks, right? And didn't look, he averaged 30, 10, and 6 against the Knicks, which is just how damn good he is. But he was basically on one leg, right? He couldn't jump off of that left knee. We saw that time and time again. His left knee hasn't looked this healthy since before Jonathan Kuminga landed on it. Over 2 years, feels like 2 years ago. I think it was almost 2 years ago, right? And before that game where Jonathan Kuminga landed on his knee, there's Joel Embiid was warming up before the game, tried to just do a layup and just fell down, like his knee just buckled. This is the whole reason, and those types of things are the whole reason I had no faith in Joel Embiid coming back, because I don't know anything about medical technology. I'm not a doctor. But it looked to me like that knee was destroyed. And I had a hard time believing you could restructure that and get him back to playing high-level basketball. Just seeing him try to jump and fall down was so, heartbreaking and discouraging at the same time, and sad. And I was saying he needs to retire. I was saying, you had a good run. We love you, but it's over. I was very, very negative about it. And I think I had every right to be. And I always said I would love to be wrong about that. And Joel Embiid last night, it seems like I'm wrong, dude. I don't want to jump the gun. I don't know how healthy he stays throughout the season, because we know Joel Embiid doesn't stay healthy throughout a season either. But I was 100% wrong on him coming back and at least looking healthy. And he looked healthier last night than I think he's looked in 2 years. He at least has proven me wrong on that front. I thought there was no shot of him coming back and land, not wincing in pain, not having a giant knee brace, not falling down every time he jumps. So kudos to you, Joel Embiid. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. And I hope you can sustain, some of this throughout the regular season to help the 76ers get to the playoffs and do something in the playoffs. But I just want to say, I'm just happy for Joel Embiid and proud for Joel Embiid that he got back to this level of health to even be able to do what he did last night in a couple of minutes in a preseason game. Driving down the lane, Euro step, all 270 pounds on the left knee, laying it in, landing on both feet, running back down the floor. It's just something I didn't think I was ever going to see again. I was sad because of it. It's just something I didn't think I was ever going to see again. I don't know if I'm actually going to break down the game much at all. I think I could rant about how proud I am that Joel Embiid looked healthy last night for 2 hours. Just incredible stuff. And we're not going to sit here and pretend that Joel Embiid doesn't completely change everything about the 76ers. Any of that from Joel Embiid anymore. He's so incredibly skilled. He's so strong. He's such a good scorer. Quite possibly the best one-on-one scorer in the history of the NBA, minute for minute. He has the highest point per minute in NBA history. He's arguably statistically the most unstoppable offensive force we've ever seen. And so even without the jumping and running fast and chase down blocks and highlight dunks and things like that, He changes the game more than any player I've ever seen. More than any Sixer, well, Allen Iverson. He changes the game more than any Sixers player I've seen since Allen Iverson. And you saw it immediately when he was on the floor last night. The way the defense gravitates towards Joel Embiid frees up everybody. And that's why last season I didn't think it was fair to come at Tyrese Maxey for the Sixers losing so many games, when it was pretty clear there was no system outside of Joel Embiid being healthy. And once Joel Embiid wasn't healthy, it was just a YMCA pickup game. Here's the ball. Good luck. You know, and it just wasn't really fair to any player that was out there to expect to drag a team to wins, especially a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who's an incredible scorer, I think, in the NBA, but isn't much of a isn't like a high level half court facilitating kind of guy. You know, a guy like Chris Paul can change the dynamic of a game, a lot of a team, like a floor raiser. Then I think Tyrese Maxey can. Although I think Tyrese Maxey is going to do that a lot more this season as he develops yet again, because Tyrese Maxey develops. It's what he does. Every offseason he improves on something. But the way the defense gravitates towards Joel Embiid, it just frees up everybody. It makes everybody's life easier, and you saw it right off the jump. Tyrese Maxey just dribble handoffs or pick and rolls with Embiid, getting downhill, just running a lot more free, coming off of off-ball screens. I know Nick Nurse is implementing a lot more off-ball action for Tyrese Maxey than he did last season, which I'm always shocked at the fact that it takes these coaches. What's wrong with the audio? Fuck! What? What's wrong with the audio, bro? It's fine on my end. It's cutting in and out. Why would the audio be cutting in and out, man? Refresh YouTube. Everybody refresh YouTube. I mean, it's not the mic. It's the connection. Everybody refresh YouTube, man. Some people say it sounds great. Some people say it's cutting in and out. Yeah, everybody refresh YouTube, man. Oh my God. I spend a whole night drilling a hole in my basement ceiling, running a 200-foot Ethernet cable to my attic. And I'm ranting and raving thinking my connection is perfect, and I look at the chat and the audio is cutting in and out. Anyway, people are saying in the chat that if you refresh, we're good to go. So if you missed any of that, come back to it. Watch the stream on replay if you missed any of that. But yeah, Joel Embiid changes the game so much, and Tyrese Maxey was running more free. VJ Edgecombe was running more free. Even when Quentin Grimes was out there in certain lineups, he was running more free. It was unbelievable, and that's the main reason I made this merch, if healthy. And I think that it's always been obvious, that when Joel Embiid is healthy, he's the best player in the game. The last time he was healthy, he won MVP. He was probably going to win back-to-back MVP if he didn't injure himself 2 seasons ago, and then came back for the Knicks series. But any of those lists that ESPN or whoever puts out all in the offseason, right, ranking teams, I was always like, bro, are you talking about the Sixers healthy? I'm pretty sure I made so many videos throughout the offseason saying that type of stuff. If we're making this list based on these teams being healthy, the 76ers are a championship contender. I think people always forget how good Joel Embiid is when he's healthy, how much he impacts the game. And you just can't say, oh, the Sixers are going to suck. I've heard people say, someone just told me on Instagram, if even with Joel Embiid back, we're going to be a 6th seed in the East. What Sixers Joel Embiid team have you been watching? This is a guy that was playing alongside Ben Simmons for how many years and was winning 50-plus games and being the top 2 or 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. And one of those lists, I think I got mad at one of those lists because they had Kawhi Leonard on there. One of those top 100 players lists or whatever where Embiid wasn't on the list and Kawhi Leonard was there. I was like, now how can you have Kawhi Leonard on there and not have Joel Embiid on there? Are we talking about healthy top 100 or not? You know what I mean? Because if you're talking about not healthy, then you can't put Kawhi on there. So that's all I can take from Embiid in a preseason game. It's not like the competition was there. I don't even really know half of the players that were playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves. There was a late first-round pick that was out there that I got to see a little bit. I forget his last name. You guys probably know it. Bones Highland was out there. I don't know, but it was so nice to see Joel Embiid get out there and play basketball, and that's what he said in the postgame. He said that he was just happy to get out there and play basketball. He loves playing basketball, and I'm so happy for him that he looked the way that he looked last night. And I don't know what I don't know what the load management is gonna be this season, because last season he was hurt. He just looks incredibly healthy right now. I don't even really know what to say, but I guess you still don't want to play him 82 games, right? So they're still going to be super cautious with the load management, but the Sixers also have an incentive to win games this season. And how many games do you want to play without Joel Embiid, man? How many games do you want to play without? And I thought Embiid was taking it easy. You could tell in a preseason game. There was a tweet by Sixers Adam that kind of pissed everybody off on Twitter last night because he said Joel Embiid didn't look great in his second stint. Let me see if I can get this tweet up here, because some people were, I think, overanalyzing the hell out of what he looked like in a preseason game without taking into account that he's not trying. It's a preseason game. He's just getting out there, trying to get his legs under him, trying to run up and down the floor. You don't want to do too much. You don't want to go hard, you know what I mean? In a preseason game. Sixers Adam has a lot of stuff that he posted where he interviewed Joel Embiid after the game. Somebody DM'd him and wished that his family got cancer. They were that mad about his tweet about Joel Embiid. Here's the tweet. He said, Joel Embiid's second stint only lasts 3 minutes. And by the way, the hoping your family gets cancer is ridiculous, but that's the internet that we live in today. I'm used to it also. You say something somebody doesn't like, and they basically threaten to murder you. Joel Embiid's second stint only lasted 3 minutes. Didn't really move all that well. Wasn't able to consistently establish positioning against an 18-year-old Joan Berenjay. That's the young guy that I was talking about, Johan Berenjay. But yeah, I think a take like that is a little over the top. Now, I'm not going to DM him and threaten his life like some of you idiots on Twitter, but I thought it was pretty clear that Joel Embiid wasn't really trying to do too much in a preseason game in his first NBA action since February 2024. 2025. February last season, but hasn't looked healthy since 2024. But I thought it was pretty clear. There was some times where a player would drive to the rim. One that I remember was on VJ Edgecombe, and Joel could have had a weak side block, but just didn't do it and just stood there, because he's not going to do that in a preseason game. He's not going to go up for a weak side block in a preseason game, because why risk injury? And I don't even know if Joel Embiid's going to go up for a weak side block in a regular season game this season. That's kind of what we saw last season. He didn't really try to rebound. He didn't really try help defense, but he was injured. I want to see if Joel Embiid can help weak side defensively, maybe without jumping. I don't know, man. I think I'm going to have to learn how to watch him play without being scared because we just have so much PTSD, and every time he jumps, we're going to be scared. But he's also one of the best shot blockers I've ever watched in my life when he was healthy. You guys remember the playoff block. Maybe it wasn't a playoff game, but remember the block on Kyrie Irving when he played for the Boston Celtics, where Embiid kind of moved his body out of the way and blocked it from behind, a game-saving, ridiculous, change of direction block. He's always been one of the best, ball-tracking shot blockers I've ever seen. So it'd be nice to see if he can kind of get back to that defensive ability without, ridiculous chase down blocks, risking, ankles, knees, diving into the second row and things like that. So we'll see. But I didn't care much about, his second or third stint when he came out there in the second quarter towards the end of the first half. And he just didn't really look like he was trying to do anything. I don't think he was struggling to move, because there's no way he was moving well in the first quarter and then was struggling to move in the second quarter. That doesn't really make any sense if you think about it. But I think that's all I wanted to say about Joel Embiid, man. I'm absolutely shocked that he looks as healthy as he looked last night. And it's given me an incredible level of joy, because for some reason my life runs on how good or bad the 76ers are. I'm a happier person when the 76ers are good. And when Joel Embiid is healthy, 76ers games are fun to watch. And I'm excited for this upcoming season. I don't know if that's naive or not, but you can't blame me. With how good with how healthy Joel Embiid looked last night, I have no choice but to believe. I have no choice but to believe. Walrus says, unfortunately, Prime Joel is at his best when he's flailing all around on offense and defense, falling all over the place. Why did I read that, bro? You guys just wake up. You guys just wake up in misery. You just wake up in pure misery, bro. If the audio is cutting out, refresh YouTube. If you just joined and the audio is cutting out, refresh YouTube. I don't know what that's about. I'm going to have to try to figure that out. But you guys just wake up in misery. And you're like, how? This is good. How can I hate this? This is good. How can I hate it? And I urge you to change the way that you think and the way that you just go through life. Because you're never going to be happy if you're just trying to hate everything. Anyway, what else did I want to say? VJ Edgecombe had 26 points in this game. And I trolled last night on Instagram. I put up a post on Instagram showing Joel Embiid's, VJ Edgecombe's point total. And I said, I can't believe you guys wanted Ace Bailey, SMH. Now, that's obviously rage bait. I think it's obviously rage bait. I'm the one that was loud about the 76ers passing on Ace Bailey and how much I think Ace Bailey is going to be a superstar. And VJ Edgecombe looked amazing last night. His three-point shot needs work. He doesn't look comfortable shooting the three. It doesn't look natural, I feel like. But his form isn't bad. And so I think I was kind of right still. Whereas I said Ace Bailey looks like a potential superstar. VJ Edgecombe looks like he could become a star, but he's going to need years of development. So I don't even actually think I was wrong now that I think about it. And I was just wrong then by thinking I was wrong. And like I've said before, the only time I've actually been wrong is that one time that I thought I was wrong because I was wrong about being wrong. So there we are. But anyway, VJ Edgecombe looked great. And I want to say this about VJ, man. He has a downright outlandish athletic ability. VJ Edgecombe's athleticism is not anywhere close to normal. Even for NBA standards, and NBA players are the most athletic people on the planet. VJ Edgecombe's level of athleticism is so insanely rare, even for an NBA player. Let me get this comment up on the screen here. Shout out to my man Green Blaze for the super chat. I'll get to that in a second. But VJ Edgecombe's athleticism is so insanely rare, even for NBA standards. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it. It's not just this guy's jumping ability. His speed and jumping ability is absolutely incredible. By the time the 76ers are coming down with a rebound, this guy, if the court wasn't only a certain distance, he would be a mile down the road. He runs that fast. He has to slow down so he doesn't run off the court. There's just so many times where the Sixers grab a board and VJ's down the floor, and they're just bang, bang, bang. And the 76ers, because of that, Tyrese Maxey's already one of the fastest players in the NBA. This team is going to be so fast. This team is going to be so fast. These fast breaks with Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre, I don't know how you're going to stop the 76ers in fast break situations since they've added VJ Edgecombe. When they get to running down the floor, they fly down the floor. And also VJ along with Maxey, along with Grimes, all have a passing ability. I'm not going to put Kelly Oubre in that category because he's never passed the ball once in his entire life. But they all have a passing ability too. This team is going to be so hard to stop in fast break situations. And the addition of VJ Edgecombe with his speed and athleticism is insane. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then you combine that with his leaping ability, and he gets on a fast break. Last night he went off of 2 feet almost from the foul line, and it didn't even look like he tried that hard. It was like a preseason dunk, but it was almost 2 feet from the foul line, bro. I almost don't even want to know what VJ Edgecombe can do in a dunking situation when he gives it 100%. It's almost like he has absolute springs. And even when he caught the ball under the rim, it was like an inbound from Embiid in the first quarter, and he's just standing under the rim. He just jumps so high. It almost doesn't look real. It looks like there's some kind of spring mechanism in his calves or something. He just bounces off the floor, and the more I watch VJ Edgecombe, the more I'm just blown away by his athletic ability, and I'm very excited to watch him play for the 76ers this year. And I think his outside shot is going to need some development, but his level of athleticism is just incredible. And although I think Ace Bailey is going to be a star in the NBA, at the same time, I'm very, very happy that we ended up with VJ Edgecombe over Ace. And then when you take into account the possible attitude situation with Ace Bailey, right, and what his agent was saying, and him trying to get to a certain team, and maybe self-righteous, maybe a selfish player, I'm not sure, but I understand where most of you guys are coming from when you say the 76ers picked the right guy because of his mentality. I understand that too, because with VJ, you're not getting any of that. You're getting a kid that you just know is going to go out there and give it 100% and try to improve on everything and keep his mouth shut and just go out there and ball and be available as much as he can. And I'm very happy and excited to watch VJ Edgecombe this upcoming season. I also think, I can say his three-point shot needs development, but last night VJ Edgecombe impressed me with his attacking the rim ability off the dribble from the perimeter. So even though I'm not loving his three-point shot yet, I think he can spread the floor, and he's beating guys off the three-point line and getting to the rim almost with ease. And then you see him throwing in some Euro step finishes. One last night, the Euro down the lane, the up, and then finish with the left hand on the other side of the rim. So he's showing a crazy finishing ability with both hands. He's showing that he has a dribble package to beat guys off the three-point line, get in the lane, finishing through contact. There was a couple of plays where he was going on one-on-three fast break and just going right at guys. 3 defenders, just the level of confidence it takes to do that. Knowing his ability and him knowing I'm stronger and faster and can jump higher than all of you, so I'm just going to go to the rim and you can't stop me. I love that confidence. VJ just looked incredible. And then you talk about his defensive ability also. You know, he led the Pac-12 in steals last season. He has quick hands. He's a very smart player. I don't know how many steals he had last night technically, but I remember seeing a couple of them. Maybe I can get the box score. I don't even have the box score up here. Let's see. Timberwolves, Sixers, Edgecombe, all stats. He had 5 steals last night? He had 26 points and 5 steals. Oh my God. VJ Edgecombe is going to be a defensive menace. And turning defense into offense is something you love to see, but we only used to get guys like Ricky Council. You know, when we didn't have any athletic players on the roster, we would be so happy to see a guy like Kelly Oubre, right, or a guy like Ricky Council. And we'd be like, his athleticism, he can turn defense into offense. VJ Edgecombe's ability to turn defense into offense is going to be on a... Watch that too. The combination of Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. Tyrese threw an alley-oop to him early in the game. There was one that Tyrese threw that was too high, which is crazy because he can jump really, really high. But Maxey threw one that was just out of his reach that was about to be a super highlight alley-oop slam from VJ. And there was a backdoor cut that he had, I think in the second quarter, where Maxey tried to bounce pass and he lost it out of bounds. And when he was running back, he was telling Maxey, throw that shit up, bro. Have you seen me jump? When you see me cutting baseline, throw the ball at the rim, I'm going to slam dunk it. So I think, Maxey needs to get ready for that too. Just throw it up. This kid can jump out of the building. And I love the confidence from a 20-year-old rookie to just look at Maxey and be like, hey, throw that shit up. You know what I mean? Shout out to VJ. I'm so excited to watch him, man. Tyrese Maxey, speaking of, he looks like he's no longer a second option. This is the first time we got to see Tyrese Maxey on the floor with Joel Embiid since February of last season, but on the floor with a healthy Joel Embiid since midway through 2 seasons ago, before he tore his meniscus when Jonathan Kuminga did the leg drop on him. And Tyrese Maxey, I think, he doesn't look like a second option anymore. From right off the jump with Joel Embiid on the floor, it really looks like Tyrese Maxey's running his own game, running his own offense. There's no more like, oh, I think I should... all those years we were watching Tyrese Maxey and we were just like, when's this kid gonna have a little more confidence, and stop being so passive and stop being so timid in the first half. He would spend like the first half of a game just getting the ball to Joel, and when James Harden was on the team, he'd, dribble out, make sure he gets it back to James and things like that. Tyrese Maxey looks uber confident right now. And he looks like he knows he's a 1A, 1B on this team. And it's just as much revolving around him as it is Joel. And I don't even think there's a thought in the back of his mind anymore about, like, do I want to take this shot? Or do I want to drive to the basket here? Or should I dribble out and get it back to Joel? I just think he's at his peak when it comes to confidence right now. And I think we're going to see, if healthy, a 2-star team, Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, versus Joel Embiid being clearly the number one option and Tyrese being a guy that has to kind of get in where he fits in around that. I think Tyrese, just from the jump in this game with Embiid on the floor, looked like, hey, I'm a superstar too. I run the show. I'm going to get to my spots. I'm going to get my stuff going. I'm not going to sit around and wait anymore to run an offense around somebody else. And then you can switch off back and forth between him and Embiid, and that's going to be really hard to stop. And I just think Tyrese Maxey is just, he's gonna take another leap this year. I think you're going to see a superstar level player in Tyrese Maxey this season. And if Joel Embiid's healthy And if Paul George gets back on this team, I don't know how you're going to stop it. Especially running the off-ball actions for Tyrese Maxey that they were running last night that I've been telling Nick Nurse to run for 2 years now. I mean, when you give the ball to Joel, right, and then he passes it over to Oubre, and then Maxey comes off a screen on the opposite side of the floor and gets it back going downhill, it's so hard to stop. He looks stronger this season. He had a finish last night through 2 defenders, took the contact on the arms and finished the floater. He looks, I don't even know how to say it, like he looks more upright. Does that make sense? Because I think this offseason he was working a lot on his control and change of speed, but finishing through contact, he looks a lot more in control of himself when he's taking contact, when he's getting under the basket and banging bodies with guys' paws. I think he looks a lot more in control of himself. He looks a lot more upright. So maybe that was something that they worked on a lot in the offseason. But I think you're going to see a lot more Tyrese Maxey finishing through contact, creating contact, and with his change of speed at this point, I think he's going to get a lot more foul calls also. Remember, Tyrese Maxey's gotten a bad whistle in the NBA for a long time, and we always thought it was just that, the officials just hate him. But really, it's because Tyrese Maxey was 0 to 100, and his style of play looks out of control at times when he's just sprinting to the rim at 100 foul when a guy is giving you a perception of being out of control on his way to the rim, right? With a little bit more control of his speed and a upright body control, I think Tyrese Maxey is going to get a lot more foul calls this season also. And he had a corner skip pass to Barlow off of a pick and roll, which again is like more of a point guard style of play that I love to see from Tyrese Maxey. So maybe he's also done a lot of that in the offseason too, where he can run a pick and roll and not just read the roll man, but make the second read and make the skip pass into the corner, and Barlow airballed the shot. But I'd like to see that from Tyrese Maxey also. I think the last thing I want to say is Quentin Grimes is very, very good. And anybody, there's a reel on my Instagram talking about this. When I was saying, dude, Quentin Grimes dropped 46 points on the Houston Rockets, who were the number 1 defense in the NBA, with nobody out there to help him but Justin Edwards. I don't care what point of the season it was. I don't care how bad the team was. There is no, you can't sugarcoat that. You can't downplay a performance like that. It's not a fluke. People be like, oh, well, it was the last 20 games with a tanking team. Okay, so then why doesn't every player in the NBA go drop 46 points on the Houston Rockets you know what I'm saying? And so a guy that could do that is now on a team that, if healthy, has a player that generates the most gravity I think I've seen since Shaquille O'Neal in 2000. In Joel Embiid. And then you got Maxey handling the ball up top. And Quentin Grimes is a good ball handler too and is also a great shot creator. But Quentin Grimes getting downhill, Quentin Grimes coming around off-ball screens opens up his game even more. And if he dropped 46 on the Houston Rockets with no system whatsoever, how lethal is that guy going to be in a system where the defense has to pay attention to Embiid, the defense has to pay attention to Maxey, and now Grimes catches the ball coming around a screen and knifes through the defense and has a wide open layup because they're like, damn. And Quentin Grimes looks great, by the way. He looks like he's in shape. He's so quick with the ball. He's very square. He doesn't look like he lost a step from last season. And he's a quick decision maker. He catches the ball up top and just bang, bang, one move, I'm past you. There's nothing you can do about it. And I don't know if the Sixers can retain him after this season. I hope some way they can. Because I don't know how you're going to stop Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, and Jared McCain with the gravity of Joel Embiid. And I'm not saying all 4 of those guys would be on the floor with Embiid. Maybe they would run a 4-out, 1-in type of offense at some point. In the season. I don't know what Nick Nurse has in mind, but staggered lineups, anytime those guys are on the floor with Embiid drawing gravity like that, I don't know how you're going to stop it. That is way too much ball handling and shot creation. We've come a long way from 2019 where I was screaming, where are the guards, when the 76ers had 5 forwards on the floor. Josh Richardson was the only player out there that resembled a guard. Ben Simmons was a center playing point guard. It was terrible. There was no ball handling on the perimeter. There was nobody could take anybody off the dribble. It was so bad. And now this team has a plethora of combo ball handling guards who can create things in the offense, drive and kick, or get to their own shot in the mid-range, or catch and shoot threes. And Daryl Morey, you've taken a lot of swings and misses. And maybe I'm overrating and overreacting to a preseason game. But it looks like he did a damn good job. It looks like he did a damn good job drafting. It looks like he did a damn good job trading Caleb Martin for Quentin Grimes last season. It even looks like he did a good job trading for Jared Butler last season. Even though you released him, he just got released by the Phoenix Suns. And I don't want to go off topic here, but I'll take Jared Butler over Kyle Lowry any day of the week. It looks like Daryl Morey put together a damn good roster. And then you add in Dominic Barlow. And the way that dude attacks the rim, crashes the glass, has great size, fights for offensive boards. One in the first quarter, just fights through 2 defenders for an offensive board and then a 2-handed slam. Great stuff, and just stuff that I feel like the 76ers have been missing for years. Dominic Barlow looks incredible so far as the role we want him to play. We loved Gershon Yabusele, but at the same time, Gershon Yabusele was just so big and slow. Barlow has the size, but he has like the agility and the speed, to beat guys to the rim to get offensive boards or defensive boards. And he has a catch and shoot ability. So shout out to Dominic Barlow. And a Dembona. What an incredible draft pick a Dembona was by Daryl Morey. And he's looking like a freak of nature. He put back slam over 2 defenders last night on a missed 3-point attempt, I think, from Tyrese Maxey. That was just ridiculous. A Dembona does things athletically, much like VJ Edgecombe, that make you just say, what the hell was that? And he had a big-time block off the backboard. Again, we're going to get used to a Dembona doing that. I don't know how much they're going to play a Dembona and Embiid in the same lineup. I know Nick Nurse started the game with Embiid and a Dembona on the floor together, which I think is interesting. We'll see. I would love for a Dembona to just strictly be the backup center. I actually don't remember if I saw... I don't remember if I saw Andre Drummond last night. It looked like they started with Embiid and a Dembona, and then Embiid went out with like 5 minutes, and Bona slid over to the center position, and then Embiid came back in. So maybe they run some kind of stagger like that. Not that I think Andre Drummond's not going to play at all. And based on the past preseason games, I think Andre Drummond's looked pretty damn good so far in this preseason compared to last year. So maybe he did have a toe injury. Maybe he did do toe yoga to get healthy for this season. But I think that's all my thoughts on this game. I hope this stream turned out well. My internet is now hardwired. I drilled a hole in my basement ceiling and ran an Ethernet cable up to my attic. So there should be no internet issues anymore, although people are saying the audio is cutting out, and that now is a YouTube issue. One day, I will have a foolproof system with no technical difficulties. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'll sit and react to the chat here for a while, man. Shout out to Green Blaze for the super chat. JoJo looks good, Eastwood, but do you think Paul George is ready? VJ looks good, but pick 3, not over Bailey. Do you think Paul George is ready? No, I don't think Paul George is ready. Well, from what I've seen of Paul George in practice, I think he looks very close to ready. I mean, if you haven't seen Green Blaze, if you haven't seen the clips of Paul George in practice, go ahead on Twitter and search those up, or on Instagram and go look at Paul George practicing a couple days ago. He looks like he's moving well. He has the pivot, he has the spin, he has the euro, he's doing everything and jumping off his left knee, and he looks perfectly fine. I think Paul George looks 100% healthy if I had to base it just off of those practice clips. But they're saying he needs to check some more boxes. I'm shocked actually that Joel Embiid came back before Paul George did. But it's probably just a conditioning thing at this point with him having the surgery just a couple of months ago in his left knee. So he's looking good in like stationary situations, but when you talk about like running the full length of the floor and back and playing 25 or 35 minutes consistently running up and down the floor, it's probably a conditioning thing at this point after all of the rehab from the knee surgery. So Paul George is not ready yet, but from what I've seen in practice, Paul George looks like he's much farther along than I thought he was going to be. So I'm excited about that. VJ looks good, but not over Bailey. From what I saw from VJ last night, I don't know if that's true anymore, man. And I know I'm very reactionary. I know I am very overreactionary. That's probably honestly part of the reason most people watch this show is because I'm fucking ridiculous. Let's call it what it is, and people get some entertainment out of it. I don't know how to pump the brakes, and I never have. So when I see something, I say, holy shit, this definitely means this, right? And then a couple days later, I see something else, and I say, holy shit, this definitely means not what I said 3 days ago. And it just keeps going like that. And maybe I'm bipolar, man. I don't know. I was never diagnosed. Maybe when it comes to the 76ers, I'm bipolar. But from what I saw from VJ Edgecombe last night, would I still have taken him over Ace Bailey? Probably not, just because Ace Bailey is a 6'9" shot-making menace, and I just can't get over how much he looks like Tracy McGrady and Kevin Durant, if you ask me personally. But I absolutely love VJ Edgecombe's athletic ability. I think his athletic ability is really, really rare. It's not just VJ looks good. Show me a player who's had the athletic ability of VJ Edgecombe in the last 20 years. And then show me a player who's had the athletic ability and looks like he could become a star-level scorer in the NBA. Because I think you could point to straight-up athletic ability. You might be able to say Derrick Jones Jr. So, I mean, as much as I wanted Ace Bailey, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing from VJ Edgecombe, man. What else we got in the chat, man? I don't want to miss any super chats here. Let me scroll all the way back up. Let's see. Shout out to everybody hanging out, man. 350 people in here. Thank you so much for coming through the next day after the game because I couldn't. Nick Marchetti, my man, what is up? If healthy, this is the most stacked team in the East. It's true, man. If healthy, I mean stacked. I mean, if healthy, I don't know how you're stopping us. If healthy, I don't know how you're stopping us. The only thing that can stop this team is health. And that's why, anybody that had faith, that's why, like, when I give my opinion, I try so hard to take other people's opinions and let it ride. You should have your opinion too. So many people, I think, in today's social media age, they not only hate other people's opinions, they think other people are mentally challenged if they say something that they don't think is true. They're like, oh my God, you stupid R word. How could you say that? And I try my best to, like, if you disagree, and that's great. And there was a lot of people this offseason that somehow had faith in this team. And I don't know how they had faith in this team after watching last season. I don't know if these people are just delusional. I don't know if they just wake up every day like everything's going to be roses and rainbows. This is going to be amazing. Everything's fine. But it's looking like a lot of those people were right. And I was saying the whole offseason, give me a break. You really think this team's going to be healthy? You really think this team's going to get Joel Embiid and Paul George on the floor? You really think this is going to happen? You're out of your damn mind. You know, I'll argue with you, but I try my best not to insult people for disagreeing with me the same way a lot of people do on social media these days, because I don't have a crystal ball. All I can tell you is what I think might happen. You might be right, you know? When I say Jared McCain could be the next Steph Curry, and people laugh at me and say, he's not Steph Curry. You're such a fucking idiot. And I'm like, did anyone know Steph Curry was going to be the greatest shooter in the history of the world? No. Nobody knew that. It's called development, and nobody knows what's going to happen. All you can do is see a player's potential and trajectory, right? And make a prediction if you want to make a prediction. You don't know who's going to be great and who's not, and I don't either. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say, I think. Thank you for the super chat, Nick. Abraham Justice, they got you, bro. You may just have to get down and beg Maury for forgiveness. Well, I'm never going to do that to another grown man, but, you know, it's just sports. It's going to be okay. I don't need to beg anybody for forgiveness or anything like that. You know what's funny? Speaking of that, like, and I'm not saying you were being serious with that comment, by the way, but a lot of people take sports opinions very seriously on the internet. And it's so funny to me because I've never been a serious person. I think most of you can tell just by the way that I talk and act. And, you know, my parents used to yell at me. My dad used to yell at me all the time. You're never serious about anything. Oh, you think everything's a big fucking joke. That's what my dad used to say. You think everything is a joke. So I've always been like this, right? It's just not that serious, bro. You know what I mean? So what's really funny is last night when I posted on Instagram the picture of VJ Edgecombe, and I was like, I can't believe you guys wanted Ace Bailey, SMH. That's hilarious, dude. If you really think about the comedic structure of a post like that, that is fucking funny. Because obviously I'm the guy who was screaming in anger when they didn't draft Ace Bailey. And now for me to completely ignore how wrong I may have been and make a post putting the blame on other people, that's hilarious to me. And you wouldn't believe how many people were angry in the comments. And I think it's funny because one of the comments said this. It said, no. We're not going to let you do this. You wanted Ace Bailey. That's hilarious to me because people like that, they want so bad for me to not be able to do what I did, right? And so he's like, we're not going to let you do this. You wanted Ace Bailey. And I'm like, that's the funny part. It's the internet. And I can do that, actually. I can just do that. Doesn't that suck for everyone that wanted to hate me? That I can just be like, hey, I loved VJ Edgecombe the whole time. You can't do that. Well, I can. That's the funny part about it. It's just the internet. And sadly for you, there's nothing you can do to stop me from doing that except yell in the comments. Listen, I'll admit when I was wrong. It was a joke. I thought it was funny, but I'll never stop getting joy and humor out of how angry people get about sports, you know? And somebody was on Twitter last night, and he was like, so this is your shtick now? You just flip-flop back and forth and say whatever appeases to the audience? Why don't you man up, stand behind what you said, and yada-da-da-da-da? And I was like, bro, there is, I promise you, a lot more serious things in this world than my opinion on sports. Please put your phone down and go outside and get some fresh air. If you are that upset about a dude who bought a podcast setup, put it in his attic, and said things on the internet, you got to go outside. And I would love to be wrong about the Ace Bailey VJ Edgecombe thing. And if I am, I'll say I was. But until then, wasn't me. I actually posted a picture of Tim Westwood on Twitter, which is also multi-layered, professional level comedy. I posted a picture of Tim Westwood. Westwood TV! We got Eminem in the building! Exclusive freestyle! Only old heads know what I'm talking about. Eminem on Westwood was fire, bro. He was so fire on Westwood TV, man. Hey, shout out to you guys, man. Thank you so much for coming through. Yeah, we'll see. If healthy. But Joel Embiid, he looks like his knee is healthier than it's looked for 2 years now. And we can only be happy about something like that. And I'm happy for Joel Embiid, and I'm proud for Joel Embiid. And call me crazy, I'm excited to watch the 76ers. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'm out.